Howdy there neighbors, Ian with Etrailer here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Redarc Elite and Liberty for our 2016 Ford F-150. First we'll take a look at the Elite. It is going to be the more premium option over the Liberty. Part of the reason is it's got the options for a user-controlled mode, which is beneficial for off-road driving or high incline driving. It's going to override the gain system and put more application to the brakes on the trailer opposed to the vehicle, extending the vehicle's brake life. And then our Liberty here is going to be the lower end option. It will only do 12-volt systems, while the Elite will do up to 24-volt. Again, with the Liberty opposed to the Elite, you're going to see that this will do 2 axles, and then the Elite will allow for up to 3 if need be, so something to keep in mind when you're selecting these. And as far as fit and finish, these are going to have the exact same visual knob that's going to come out of the dash. That does not change between the Elite or the Liberty. It's going to be the exact same knob for those. This brake controller is going to be a better option than some of the others. If you're possibly a taller person, you may be concerned about knee knock. If you were going to mount your main portion of the controller here on the dash, you may have to find a different spot. If you're even taller than I am, I'm 6'1" and I've got plenty of room clearance, but anybody beyond me, of course, if we've got a big bulky controller here, it's going to really cause some issues while you're driving along, especially on the long road trips. So Redarc's really nice about just having this nice little mount here as far as the controller's remote, and then the main portion of the controller is tucked up under the dash away. We don't even get to see it at all once it's up there, so just a really nice, clean, almost factory look. Hides away really well. It's going to be a proportional system, so as much as you apply to the brakes, it's also going to be applying that to your trailer. If you're running through hillier areas, you may want to turn up your gain on the trailer a little bit, and that's as simple as turning the knob. And you also have the option for the manual override, which is just pushing the button in that will apply that trailer brake as well. If I had to pick a brake controller for my Ford, it's going to be the Redarc. And both as far as choices on the Liberty and the Elite are great options. Love the hideaway look. Love the ease of install, and with that adapter going to the factory harness, makes it super easy to get everything up there looking good and keeps a really clean factory look up here in the cockpit for you. So let's get into that install. I'll show you how easy that's going to be and kind of where I'm routing everything. What I like to do is start with a wedge tool on this back right corner. We're going to be popping this entire panel forward so we can access the bolts underneath, but just applying a good amount of pressure will start that, and then you should be able to just give it a little tug and then come to the opposite side here and do the exact same thing. You may need to go up under the steering wheel to apply that pressure, but you just want to pull backwards until this comes loose, and once it's loose we'll be able to access the 10mm bolts that are holding this panel on, and we'll remove that. And with that metal panel removed, we're going to go ahead and just get this out of the way as well. There's a couple little push tabs that you'll shove to one side, and then that'll pull out there. And then we're going to support this while it's hanging and just kind of get it up out of the way. What we're trying to access is the factory plug that's on the back side of this little coin pocket here. So you'll just reach up back there, and on the bottom side of it there's a push tab that you'll apply some pressure to, and then that should just come out, and there's that little push tab that's going to allow that to release. You'll take your adapter that you'll need for this kit to work and plug that in, and then we'll just kind of leave that out of the way. That's going to go to the controller box. As far as mounting location for your button, it's kind of up to you what you prefer. It's dealer's choice on that. So what I've decided to do is right about mid kick panel here, we're going to have that coming out. And what you'll need to do is there's going to be 2 holes, the larger one on the bottom, and then on your top one, much smaller hole, 3/8 on that bottom hole, and then 1/8 inch right above that. The distance between the center points of those holes needs to be 7.5 millimeters, so that way they're drilled properly. Reasoning behind that is there's a small LED indicator that's going to come out that 1/8 hole right above the 3/8 hole where the button rides through. Now I've got our measurements and marks here for our top and bottom holes. Even for the 3/8, I am just going to run the 1/8 through it, so that way we've got a pilot hole, and double check my measurement there as well. And then once I've got the 3/8 hole done, we'll put that 1/8 right below it. We've got the holes drilled. I've gone ahead and pushed that nut that comes on the shaft through the panel just so it's sitting there. We want to make sure we line up our little LED at the top of this here with that hole at the top, and that's going to be our indicator for where the positioning is on the knob. But once we've got those lined up, I'm just going to use hand tighten method on this because we don't want to over torque by any means or accidentally cross thread while we're putting this in, and just go down a couple threads and make sure everything stays lined up and locked in. Now we're going to take the connector on our adapter here that will go to the Redarc Liberty here, get that hooked up. And then what we're going to need to do is find a location that is not a wire loom. It states specifically in the instructions we want to have this mounted to a solid, hard surface. So you can just find something. Again, it's kind of up to your creativity. You don't want to block any airbags or any moving parts that could be an issue if you're depressing the pedal or anything like that. So just keep that in mind when you're mounting this up. It can be zip tied up if need be, or it's got the 4 mounting spots for the holes for screws as well. So now we're going to take our straight into the connector here to the controller box. It's just going to plug in right to that right side, and then we will run our cable with the 90-degree end over to our switch on the dash. And that will just plug in like that. Now we're going to reassemble the dash and test our components. And once we've got the dash all in place, we're going to put the button on. You want to turn the knob all the way, that inner knob that sits inside this, all the way counterclockwise till it stops. So that way it's going to line the 0 up with our indicator light. You'll see that indicator light at the moment is flashing. So we are ready for calibration. What it calls for in the instructions as far as calibration is driving and then braking up to 10 times. So that way the controller for the brake controller can start talking to your brake system of your vehicle. And then once it's calibrated, you'll see the indicator light does go off and you'll get a solid blue light when the manual button is pressed. And that'll do for our look at and installation of the Redarc Tow Pro brake controllers on our 2016 Ford F-150. My name's Ian with Etrailer. Thank you for watching.